Okay, time to answer this question. Hello, Lisa. Okay, everybody. So, soundscapes. How have sounds changed during the pandemic? When month was it most obvious? So, I would say that when the flights they suspended flights to Europe, and then basically domestic flights, although they never stopped, they sort of ceased. So I would say it was when the flights uh, stopped. Well, I guess that's sort of more of the broader noise. I feel like I'm stuck on that last question that I answered. So the sort of larger sound, yes. In terms of traffic, I would say when the New York City shutdown happened. I think probably sometime, I guess, in late March or mid March. I think it was right after St. Patrick's Day, so maybe March 19th or March. Oh no, March 16th. I think it was. So um, yeah, I think that you stopped hearing so much traffic, and so all you would hear was sirens in the distance, and you would just hear ambulance sirens all night. And it was, I would say, for the first month, the Elmhurst, we lived only 20 minutes from Elmhurst, but we also lived near the Mount Sinai in Astoria. So you just hear sirens all night and all day, but all night especially. And that was March. It was most obvious at night. Boy, I guess I did answer this pretty well. Yes, it was dystopic. It was a sense of dystopia and a sense of it sunk in. And it's interesting because, I've lived in New York 20 years. I lived through 9/11 and this. And I will say that only recently in the last couple of days have I stopped working enough. I sort of pile into work when I feel like things are getting too difficult. And I think recently it's really settled on me just how absolutely there's sort of three moments. There was the sirens moment, the moment I biked into the city and half of the fucking buildings were boarded up and the people were out, but it was like everyone was sort of like listing around and basically going grocery shopping. And then the last couple of days, I think because of the combination both of what's happening environmentally and with the pandemic, and then also what's happening in the United States with the sort of burgeoning fascist movement that everybody is trying to look the other way because they don't want to admit it to themselves. But yes, I would say 9/11. Yes, it was very quiet. 9/11, I think it was the day after 9/11 on 9/12. There was an awful thunderstorm, terrible thunderstorm. And it was really violent. And it almost felt like it did feel biblical. And I remember the silence that day as the planes, sort of stopped flying. And then, of course, also the other thing was that the military jets arrived in New York, and that was frightening in its own right because they were flying so low over New York, and they flew really low over where I lived. And I thought for sure I thought a plane was going to hit. I was actually on the phone with somebody, and it was so loud. I remember I went, "Oh no, oh no, oh no," because I thought a plane was about to fucking crash into my house. Why they would hit where I lived in Queens, I have no idea. The 2003 blackout was way more. I think everyone had the sort of 70s, 80s blackout where there was so much crime, so there was like tension around whether there was going to be like rioting and crime, but there really wasn't. I think mostly the tension around the 2003 blackout initially started from believing that the nuclear power plant had been hit, that Indian Point had been hit. And then once that happened, I think everyone just sort of went drinking. And it was just quiet for a day, but it returned by the morning. So it was sort of a very singular moment. Storms, blizzard, yeah, sort of. I would say that nothing is compared to this event. Nothing. Nothing is compared to this event by any means. And I think the most sort of, if you put your mind into this, at least in New York, thank God everyone's wearing masks. But, New York is also an incredibly populous place. To walk down the street and see everybody in a mask and what that does to your psyche in terms of not seeing faces. It is a very interesting period of time, the intersection between fascism and the masking of ourselves. And the idea that as we cover our faces, it's easier to dehumanize who we are. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow on my show. Lisa, I hope that's good. And if it's not, just let me know and I will send you additional material. Thank you. Bye-bye.